face.
Mother?
Impossible. No.
What is it?
She has his eyes.
The Duke of Ashburn never entered through doors. He appeared where silence already lived, at the edge of gardens, beside fog-covered lakes, beneath moonlight that seemed to bend around him, as if even nature understood discretion. That was how I first came to know him, in secret. For 8 months, Duke Adrian Ashburn had courted me in stolen hours no one was meant to witness. No formal calls, no public carriage visits, no flowers delivered to my door with his crest stamped in wax. Nothing that could survive gossip. Only us. Only hidden places. Only promises spoken softly enough to belong to no one else. "Why must we always hide?" I asked one evening as we stood beneath the yew trees behind Lady Briarwood's estate, the night air cold enough to silver our breath. Adrian looked at me the way he always did, like he saw every thought I failed to bury, because he usually did. His black tailcoat caught the moonlight in sharp edges. At 29, he carried power too naturally to flaunt it, broad-shouldered, controlled, beautiful in the dangerous way aristocratic men often were, elegant enough to charm, cold enough to ruin. But never with me. His gloved hand rose and tucked a loose strand of hair behind my ear. "My mother," he said quietly, "believes she has already chosen my future wife." I gave a dry laugh. "A duchess, I assume?" "She would prefer 3 duchesses if the law permitted." Despite myself, I smiled. Then the smile faded. "I'm serious, Adrian." "So am I." His hand moved to my cheek, warm despite the glove. "I hid us because I wanted something untouched by politics." His voice lowered. "Something real." My chest tightened. I was Clara Bell, daughter of a seamstress and a deceased schoolmaster, respectable enough to avoid insult, ordinary enough to be invisible to his world. A duke did not marry women like me. Everyone knew that. Which made his next words impossible. "I want you to meet them." I blinked. "Your parents?" "Yes." My pulse stumbled. "No." Adrian's brows lifted slightly. "No? I cannot meet the Duke and Duchess of Ashburn." "You can." "I absolutely cannot." "You absolutely can." "Adrian." He stepped closer, close enough that my arguments began losing structure. "Clara." That voice, low, steady, dangerous. The voice he used when he had already made his mind. "I am done hiding you." My breath caught. The world narrowed to his eyes. Dark, intent, certain. "For months I have waited for the right time." His jaw tightened. "There is no right time." The words that followed shattered every defense I had. "I intend to marry you." Everything inside me stopped. The wind, the garden, thought itself. I stared at him. No teasing, no softness. No hesitation. He meant it. I barely managed a whisper. "You cannot say things like that unless you intend to ruin my life." A flicker of amusement touched his mouth. "I intend to ruin your anonymity." Then his expression hardened again. "Tomorrow, Ashburn Manor." Something in his face shifted. A tension I'd never seen. Adrian. Silence. Then, whatever happens inside that house. He paused. For the first time since I'd known him, he looked uncertain. Not afraid, but braced. His gaze locked on mine. Stay beside me. The next afternoon, Ashburn Manor rose from the fog like judgment made stone. Grand Georgian symmetry, white columns, tall windows, generations of power built into every brick. Inside, the drawing-room glowed with firelight and polished gold. I heard footsteps before I saw them. The Duke and Duchess of Ashburn entered, the father first, tall, severe, unreadable, then his mother, pearls at her throat, emerald silk, perfect posture, perfect control. Her eyes landed on me. She stopped, completely. The color drained from her face. The porcelain teacup slipped from her hand. It shattered across marble. No one moved. No one breathed. Her lips parted. Her fingers trembled. She stared at me as if she had seen a ghost claw its way out of a grave. Then, in a broken whisper, she said, "No." Her eyes widened further. "No, that face." She took one shaking step backwards and whispered the words that changed everything. "That is impossible." No one spoke. The crack of shattered porcelain seemed to echo across the drawing-room, sharp and unnatural against the suffocating silence. I stood frozen. The Duchess's eyes locked on mine again, not merely studying, searching, desperate. "Your name," she said suddenly. Her voice changed. It sounded almost afraid. I blinked. "Clara Bell." She shook her head immediately. "No." I frowned. "That is my name." "No," she repeated firmer now. "Your full name." I hesitated. Why did that feel dangerous? "Clara Bell." The Duke's expression hardened. The Duchess took a step toward me. "What was your mother's name?" Adrian turned sharply. "Enough." She ignored him. "What was her name?" I looked between them. My pulse pounded. Why did this feel like an interrogation? "My mother's name was Evelyn Bell." The Duchess went still. Her face emptied of color again. The Duke's eyes narrowed. Adrian's breathing slowed, the way it always did when anger settled into something colder. The Duchess whispered to herself, "Evelyn." Then louder, "No." Her eyes snapped to mine. "Silver grey. My mother used to call them unusual."
Beautiful, cursed, depending on the day. The Duchess looked as if those eyes had reached inside her chest. She whispered, "The eyes." Adrian spoke through clenched restraint. "Mother, explain." She backed away. "No." "Explain." "No." The Duke of Ashbourne finally stepped forward, tall, severe, commanding. "Leave us." I thought he meant the servants. Then his gaze landed on me, cold, measured, calculating. "You." My blood chilled. "Leave this house." Adrian turned so fast, the movement almost startled me. "No." The word cracked like a whip. His father's stare hardened. "You will not defy me over this." "I already am." The air changed. Two powerful men, neither yielding.
I had never seen Adrian like this, not warm, not teasing, pure Duke. His voice dropped. She is here because I brought her. His father answered coldly. She must leave because I command it. I finally found my voice. Please. All eyes shifted to me. My throat tightened. I don't understand any of this. And that was the truth. Nothing made sense. Why did his mother look haunted? Why did his father look furious? Why did my mother's name sound like a buried crime? The Duchess suddenly whispered something so quietly I almost missed it, but I heard it. Adrian heard it too, because his entire body went rigid. She stared at me, tears gathering now, real tears, and said, "She has her mother's face." A pause, then the words that shattered the room. And Edward's eyes. Adrian frowned. Edward. My heart stopped. Edward Ashbourne, Adrian's dead elder brother, the elder heir, dead for 20 years. I looked at the Duchess, then at Adrian, then back. The room tilted. No, no, that was impossible, completely impossible. The Duchess began shaking. The Duke's expression turned murderous, and Adrian slowly looked at me, as if seeing me for the first time. Then he asked the question none of us were ready to hear. Who exactly is Clara Bell? Adrian's question hung in the room like a blade. No one answered. The Duke of Ashbourne's expression hardened into something terrifyingly controlled. The Duchess looked close to collapse, one trembling hand clutching the pearls at her throat, as though they might keep her upright. I could hear my own heartbeat, too loud, too fast. Edward. The name repeated inside my skull. I knew that name. Everyone in London knew it. Edward Ashbourne, the elder son of the Ashbourne family, the heir who died young after a riding accident, leaving Adrian to inherit the dukedom. Why had she said I had his eyes? Why had she said my mother's name like a confession? Adrian stepped fully in front of me now, creating a barrier between me and his parents. His voice turned glacial. I asked a question. His father answered first. Not here. Adrian did not move. You will answer now. His father's jaw tightened. I said, I heard what you said. Adrian's voice sharpened. But I am done being handled like a child. The room became unbearable. The Duchess finally spoke, barely audible. She doesn't know. Adrian's eyes narrowed. Know what? Silence. Then the Duchess looked at me with unbearable sorrow. How old are you, Clara? The question felt absurd. Still I answered, 19. She shut her eyes. A tear escaped. 19. She was calculating. Years, dates, memory. Her lips trembled. Oh, God. Adrian's patience snapped. Enough. He turned to me. Stay here. No. The word left me before I could stop it. His gaze softened slightly. Clara. No. My breathing shook. No. No one says another word without hearing it. His father gave a humorless laugh. You truly brought her here blind. Adrian slowly turned. What does that mean? The Duke crossed to the fireplace, every movement measured. When he spoke, his tone was cold enough to frost glass.
Your brother made a mistake 19 years ago. The Duchess whispered, "Richard, stop." He ignored her. He became involved with a woman beneath his station. My stomach dropped. No, no, no. She worked briefly in this household. The fire crackled. No one moved. The Duke continued. She was dismissed. My voice came out hoarse. What was her name? He looked directly at me. Evelyn. The room blurred. My mother. I shook my head. No. The Duke continued anyway. She claimed to be carrying Edward's child. The floor disappeared beneath me. Adrian went rigid. His voice dropped to something dangerous. "You're lying." The Duke's eyes flashed. "Watch yourself. Did you pay her to disappear?" The Duchess broke. "Stop." She burst into tears, actual sobs, not graceful weeping, devastation. That frightened me more than anything else. She looked at me through tears. She refused the money. I stopped breathing. The Duke glared at her wife. She kept talking. She threw the papers back at us. Her voice cracked.
She said she would rather starve than sell her child. My knees weakened. Adrian caught my arm before I fell. His hand burned through my sleeve. The Duchess stared at me. She said if the child lived... Her voice broke completely. She would teach her never to beg for love from people without honor. My mother. Those words sounded like her. Exactly like her. Memories hit me all at once. Her refusing charity, her hatred of aristocrats, the way she stiffened whenever dukes or estates were mentioned, her silence whenever I asked about my father. Dear God. My voice trembled. She told me he died. No one answered. That silence was answer enough. I turned slowly to Adrian. His face had changed. Shock. Disbelief. Rage. Not at me. At them. I could barely form words. Your brother. My throat tightened. My eyes burned. I forced the words out. Was my father... The Duchess sobbed harder. The Duke said nothing. That silence confirmed everything. Everything. I stepped away from Adrian. Away from all of them. My chest felt split open. All my life I had believed I was nobody. A schoolmaster's daughter, a seamstress's child. Ordinary. Invisible. But now... I looked at Adrian, with horror rising inside me. He had brought me home to marry me, to love me, to make me his Duchess, and none of us had known. My voice came out shattered. Adrian. He stared at me, breathing hard. I whispered the words neither of us wanted to hear. If Edward was my father... I felt sick, cold, broken. Then I said it. We're family. The words landed like a death sentence. We're family. For one terrible second, no one breathed. Then Adrian moved. No. The single word came out sharp, immediate, absolute. I stared at him, barely able to remain upright. Adrian. No. His voice deepened, colder, more controlled, the kind of control that only appeared when fury threatened to become violence. His dark eyes locked on his father. When? The Duke frowned. What? Adrian stepped forward. When did Edward die? His father's expression hardened. You know when he died. Answer me. The command in Adrian's voice stunned even me. The Duke's jaw flexed. 19 years ago. Adrian's stare sharpened. What month? Silence. The Duchess looked up. Something changed in her face. Not fear. Realization. Adrian saw it, and pressed harder. What month? His father finally answered. February. Adrian went still. Completely still. Then he turned to me. Clara. My name sounded different now. Gentler. Anchoring. I frowned through tears. December. His eyes burned. December what? 12th. The room went silent again. I didn't understand, but Adrian did. The Duchess did too. And suddenly, so did the Duke. I watched comprehension strike his face like lightning. Adrian slowly turned back to his parents. His voice became terrifyingly calm. She was born in December. No one spoke. He continued. Edward died in February. A beat. Then, she's 19. Another beat. I felt my pulse hammering. Adrian's jaw tightened. Which means Clara was conceived roughly 9 months before birth. The Duchess began shaking. The Duke said nothing. Adrian took one step forward. Each word now precise. Measured. Lethal. That places conception in March. He stopped. The silence became unbearable. Then came the blow. Edward was already dead. My breath caught. No. No. I looked from Adrian to his father, back again. My mind struggled to catch up. Adrian's voice cut through the fog. Edward died before Clara could be conceived. The truth hit like thunder. I stared at the Duke. My voice barely existed. Then, Edward cannot be my father. The Duchess let out a strangled sound. Her hand flew to her mouth. She looked at her husband, not with fear, with horror. No, not horror. Recognition. The kind that arrives when a lie collapses. I saw it. Adrian saw it. And then everything changed. He slowly turned toward his father. His voice dropped into something deadly. It wasn't Edward. The Duke's face became stone. Adrian took another step. Not shouting, not emotional. That made it worse. It was you. The Duchess gasped. I froze. The world stopped. No. No. Impossible. Adrian's eyes never left his father. You made Edward the scapegoat.
Silence. You buried the scandal under a dead man. Silence. You let Mother grieve a lie for 19 years. The Duke finally spoke. Cold, controlled. Be careful. Adrian laughed once. A terrible sound. Disbelief. Rage. You ruined a woman's life. His father's voice sharpened. She knew her place. The words hit like a slap. I stopped breathing. Adrian did too. For 1 second. Then I saw it. The moment his restraint broke. His fists clenched. Every muscle locked. He took one slow step forward, then another. His voice dropped to a whisper, the most dangerous kind. Say that again. The Duke lifted his chin. Unrepentant, cruel. Women like Evelyn Bell should have known better to reach above their station. The Duchess burst into sobs. No, Richard, stop! But he kept going, as if cruelty were merely truth. She should have taken the money. I felt sick. My mother, my beautiful, proud mother, reduced to this, by him. The Duke looked at me, for the first time, not as a person, as inconvenience. As for the girl, not woman, not Clara, the contempt burned. She should leave and be grateful this goes no further. Adrian moved so fast I barely saw it. 1 second he stood 3 feet away. The next, he had his father by the collar. The Duke slammed against the stone fireplace. The entire room exploded. The Duchess screamed. I gasped. Adrian's face had transformed. Not Duke, not aristocrat. Predator. Raw fury. His voice shook with contained violence. You will never speak of her that way again. His father glared back. You would assault your own father. Adrian leaned closer, eyes dark as midnight. If you were only my father. His grip tightened. The Duke's composure cracked, just slightly. Then Adrian delivered the words that shattered me. But the moment you touched Evelyn Bell, his voice broke for the first time, just slightly, then hardened again. You stopped being only my father. He looked at me. Pain, rage, protection, everything at once, then back at the Duke, and said, You became the man who destroyed the mother of the woman I love. Adrian's hand finally released his father's collar. The Duke of Ashbourne staggered backward, catching himself against the fireplace, his composure fractured for the first time since I had entered that house. The room smelled of ash, wax, and ruin. No one moved. No one dared. I stared at Adrian, at the man I loved, at the man whose entire world had just split open beside mine. His chest rose and fell in hard, controlled breaths. Then he turned to me, and everything in his face changed. The rage remained, but not for me, never for me. Clara. My name broke something inside me. I stepped back. He froze, not because he was angry, because he understood. No, I whispered. His expression tightened. Clara, listen to me. No. This time louder, more broken. I shook my head violently as tears blurred my vision. No, don't. Please. That word nearly destroyed me. Adrian Ashbourne did not plead, yet here he was, pleading. I pressed trembling fingers to my lips, trying to breathe, trying to think, but my mind was chaos. My mother had been used, discarded, humiliated. His father had destroyed her, his mother had buried it, and Adrian knew none of it. I did, but pain does not obey logic. I looked at him through tears. Did you know? I asked. The question cut him. I saw it. His answer came instantly. No. No hesitation, no lie, just raw truth. I swear to you. I believed him. That made this worse, because if he had lied, I could hate him. Hate was simple. Love was unbearable. My voice trembled. You brought me here to ask me to marry you. His jaw tightened. Yes. I laughed once. A horrible sound. Half sob, half disbelief. Marry you. Tears spilled now, hot, relentless. I could barely see. In the same house where my mother was destroyed. Clara. In the same family that erased her.
His silence said enough. I backed away again. He followed, just one step, careful, as if approaching someone wounded, which I was.
Don't. He stopped immediately. That nearly broke me again. Always listening, always careful with me. I hated that I still loved him. I hated that I probably always would. His voice softened, low, unsteady. Look at me. I refused. Clara. I shook my head. Please. I looked. Big mistake, because his eyes, dear God, I had never seen Adrian undone, not once, but now I saw it. Grief, fear, desperation. Not for his title, not for scandal, for me, only me. His voice roughened. You are not them. I swallowed hard. That changes nothing. It changes everything. No, I forced the words out. It changes blood. His face hardened. No, it does. It doesn't. I stared. How could he say that? How? Then Adrian said quietly, You and I share no blood. The room went still. I frowned. What? His gaze locked onto mine, focused, certain. You and I share no blood. My heartbeat stumbled. What? The Duchess looked up sharply. Adrian turned to his mother. Tell her. She stared at him, trembling. Adrian, tell her. Her tears fell harder. She looked at me and whispered, Richard cannot father children. Silence. No, not silence. Void. The universe vanished. I stopped breathing. The Duke's face changed finally. For the first time, panic, real panic. The Duchess continued, voice shaking violently. We learned after Edward's birth. I stared. No comprehension, no thought, nothing. She kept speaking. Edward was our miracle. Her voice cracked. The doctors said there would be never another. My eyes widened. Slowly, terribly. No, no. Adrian spoke now, cold, precise. You and I share no blood. My voice barely existed. If he isn't. The answer came from the Duchess, in tears, in shame, in confession. She whispered, Edward was. The room shattered again. I went completely still. No, no. My mother had told the truth all along. Edward, not Richard. Edward. The Duke had lied, used his dead son as a shield, buried truth beneath cruelty. Adrian stepped closer, very slowly. Clara. My knees weakened. Everything spun. Relief, horror, grief, love, pain, all at once. And then came the realization that struck hardest of all. I looked at Adrian, at the man I loved, the man who had fought for me, the man who had chosen me. My voice broke into a whisper. You still want me. Adrian didn't hesitate, not even for a heartbeat. He crossed the distance between us, stopped inches away. His voice shook with raw emotion. I have wanted only you from the moment you walked into my life. Tears blurred everything. He lifted one trembling hand, not touching, waiting, asking permission. Always me, always my choice. Then he whispered, Come with me. And I had to decide, between the family that ruined my mother and the man willing to burn that family down for me. Adrian's hand remained suspended between us, waiting, never forcing, never claiming, just offering. That undid me more than anything else had. Not the scandal, not the lies, not even the revelation that the man I loved had unknowingly carried me straight into the heart of the secret that had poisoned my mother's life. It was this, that even now, after everything, he still gave me choice. My voice trembled. If I go with you, I swallowed. The words felt too heavy. Nothing will ever be simple again. A faint, bitter smile touched his mouth. It was never going to be simple.
His eyes held mine, dark, steady, unflinching. But I would rather live in war with you than peace without you. That was the end of me. The final wall inside my chest broke. I placed my hand in his. Adrian closed his fingers around mine like a vow. Behind us, the Duke of Ashbourne's voice cut through the room, cold, furious. If you walk out with her, you walk out of this family. Adrian didn't even turn. Good. The single word struck harder than shouting ever could. His father's fury sharpened. You would abandon title, inheritance, duty. Now Adrian turned, slowly. The firelight carved hard shadows across his face. He had never looked more like a duke, nor less like his father. I am not abandoning duty. His voice was calm, terrifyingly calm. I am finally choosing it. The Duke scoffed. Over a girl. Adrian closed his hand around mine. Over a girl. The same contempt, the same blindness. But Adrian saw clearly. No, his days darkened. Over honor. Silence. Adrian stepped forward, pulling me gently with him. Your greatest mistake, he said, was believing power protects rot. His father's fury triggered murderous. Adrian continued, You buried truth for 19 years. A beat. You ruined an innocent woman. Another beat. You forced mother to live beside a lie. The Duchess sobbed quietly. Adrian's voice hardened. But you made one fatal miscalculation. The Duke said nothing. Adrian's eyes flashed. You assumed no one would choose her over this house. His gaze lifted to the grand ceilings, the portraits, the wealth, generations of power. Then back to his father. You were wrong. The words landed like iron. The Duke finally lost composure. You foolish boy. Boy. Adrian gave the smallest smile, cold, almost pitying. No, he looked at me. Something warm returned to his expression, something human, something his father would never understand. Then he looked back. I became a man the moment I learned what kind of man you are. The Duke surged forward. Adrian! The Duchess spoke first. Enough! Everyone froze. She stood trembling, tears streaking her face, but something had changed. The fear was gone. 19 years of silence had broken. She faced her husband, not as Duchess, as woman, as mother. As of this moment, I will not protect you again. The Duke stared, stunned. She continued, I helped bury Evelyn's truth. Tears fell. I will carry that shame to my grave. Her eyes moved to me. Clara. Pain flooded her face. I cannot ask forgiveness. I said nothing. She didn't deserve comfort, but for the first time she seemed to understand that. Her voice cracked. Your mother loved fiercely. I stopped breathing. The Duchess whispered. She refused money because she said her child would never inherit shame.
A tear slid down my cheek. That sounded exactly like Mother. Proud, stubborn, unbreakable. The Duchess took a shaking breath. Your mother was the most dignified person in this room. Even the Duke said nothing, because truth had finally entered the house, and truth was merciless. Adrian turned toward me. The entire room disappeared. Just him, just us. His thumb brushed lightly across my knuckles, a tiny movement, yet it grounded me. His voice softened. No more secrets. I stared at him. No more hiding. My chest tightened. Adrian. He stepped closer, close enough that I could feel the warmth of him, close enough that choosing him felt terrifying and inevitable. His voice lowered, raw now. No duke, no title, just the man. I cannot undo what my family did. A pause. But I will spend the rest of my life making certain you never doubt your worth again. The tears came faster, not from pain, from the unbearable sincerity of him. He held my gaze and asked the only question that mattered. Clara Bell. His voice almost broke. Will you allow me to love you openly? I looked at the shattered porcelain still scattered across the marble floor, at the broken illusion of nobility, at the ruins of silence, then at the man who chose truth over inheritance, the man who chose me. Slowly, I smiled through tears. Yes. Adrian exhaled like a man finally allowed to breathe. Then, for the first time since entering Ashbourne Manor, I saw him unguarded, not powerful, not dangerous, just relieved, just in love. And I understood something then. His mother had recognized my face, but she had not merely seen scandal. She had seen what frightened powerful families most, the return of buried truth. And truth, like love, always finds its way home.